Peace. Peace in the Middle East and worldwide. It's Prince Ash here. So can't bait the old freeway cola from Lidl. Yeah, so this is a video about schizophrenia and psychosis and what it's like, because I'm sure you must be wondering, like, what's it like to hear voices, and can you tell the difference between your thoughts and the voices, and what's it like to hallucinate, and can't you just easily tell what's reality and what's not? And yeah, man, it fucks with your head altogether, and yeah, it's exacerbated by the drug use and probably brought on that way as well. Like, and it's really common now for young people to be coming in with psychosis, because you know, you can get psychosis from alcohol as well, and that normally happens after like 15, 20, 25 years, and with drugs it can take like 3 or 4 years, even less. Like, you know, heavy usage, it fucks with your head. And I have a diagnosis of schizophrenia, like excuse me, since a while now anyway, over 2 years. And yeah, I suppose I'll talk about where it began. So it starts with a long night. I made a song called Long Night PTSD, which condenses my addiction experience, entirety of my addiction, the entirety of my psychosis, and the entirety of my dad's death. Because they were all a long night, and my punishment in my psychosis. So I believed that I was punished by my peers and by the Gardaí, my friends. I thought I was punished by them in one long night, and they called it a long night in my psychosis. They were like, "John, long night." And that's basically a night where they traumatize you and punish you and abuse you and rape you in order to traumatize you and punish you for your transgressions, you know. So I'm going to explain like how that happened. It all started when I was 20 years old, and I was living in my grandmother's gaff, and I was just after leaving a treatment centre, Coonvera Brewery. It was my first time in Coonvera, my third time in treatment, and I was staying sober. I was going to a handful of meetings a week, but I wasn't well, I wasn't happy, I was miserable. I was feeling guilt, shame, remorse, regret, depression, sadness, grief, loneliness, lust, all that shit. And anyway, I was thinking back to one night in Galway. I ended up punching my friend in the face because he was talking behind my back, and I didn't like it. And he did not deserve that, and I feel ashamed of it. Yeah, I regret it, but that's what happened. And the rest of the night after that is a fucking blackout for me. And no one ever told me whatever happened. Maybe nothing happened, but no one's ever spoken to me about that night. And I tried to remember back to that night, and all of a sudden I started getting vivid memories of the long night. So I started remembering vividly, and I believed it because there were vivid memories from I thought I was finally remembering the blackout, like, and I was anally raped by the Gardaí. I was stripped naked and assaulted very badly until I was unconscious by my peers, my friends in the Gardaí. What else? I was assaulted. I was called everything under the sun. I was tortured over a prolonged period of 6 or 7 hours. So I had all this in my memories. I was like, holy fuck, this happened. And I fought back, and I brutally assaulted people. I sexually assaulted people. I pissed on people. I attacked them. I said horrible things about their dead family members, all in an act of revenge. And I believed I did all that because I had vivid memories of it. And so that was when I was 20. This went on until I was about 22. I was remembering shit every night. I just go into a zone where I think back and I remember all this shit. It was intrusive thoughts, like, and it was part of my psychosis, like, from taking all those drugs and drink and stuff. And it was truly horrible, man. It was so bad. I was so angry, I was so lonely, isolated. I felt such a sense of injustice. I felt like a victim. I'm not a victim, but I felt like one. And I thought people were putting thoughts into my head. I thought people had the Gardaí in particular, I thought that they had some technology that could put these memories in my head, because I was realising after a while, like, this couldn't be real. And on the off chance it is real, I was like, fuck, I must be going straight to prison for everything. Regardless of the psychosis, I kind of felt like, fuck, I'm going to prison any day anyway, because I was so paranoid. And I had committed a lot of petty crimes as a teenager, so I was like, fuck, they're finally nailing me now. I'm going away now, like. And yeah, this carried on. I tried to numb myself away from it. I was drinking for periods, sporadically. I'd go on benders. I couldn't take it anymore. I was insane. I was mentally ill. I lost my sanity altogether, like. And so I relapsed again. And my mother kicked me out. She was like, I've had enough of this, like, how many times are you going to do this? Like, it's fucking, I can't enable you anymore. So I was kicked out. I was homeless. Fortunately, the first day I registered as homeless, I got into the Fair Green, which is a rarity, but for whatever reason, I got in that time anyway. Like, not my last time, I slept rough for 2 months. Like, there's only so much chances they'll give you, like, before they kind of cut you off for a while. Freeway cola. So I ended up in the Fair Green Hostel, which is not a great atmosphere. It's fairly miserable in there and depressing, and yeah, some of the lads are sound in there, but they're all in addiction, like, and they're not willing to get better, and there's heroin going on in there, and there's every drug under the sun, and there's robbing and violence. Fucking, I treated it as a madhouse because that's what I thought it was. I didn't behave myself in there. I should have, but I didn't. And anyway, that's besides the point. This is about the psychosis. So I ended up getting arrested for theft, we'll say. And the following day, a lad came to my door, Shane, and he was like, he was saying I owed him money for bikes because he had left bikes out the back of the Fair Green, and he said they're gone now and it was my fault, and I wouldn't answer the door, and I locked the door, and he was like, if you don't answer this door, I'm going driving something up through you. You know, saying he's going to stab me, like, you know. So I got really paranoid. I was like, fuck, man, I'm not letting this cunt stab me, like. And I locked my door, and I was in the darkness. I didn't turn on the light. I was in bed the whole time. I was paranoid about getting arrested by the guards. I was paranoid about Shane. There was another fella, I dropped his phone. He wanted money for a screen. I didn't have money, so I was paranoid about that. And I still had the memories of the long night going on, like. And I wasn't eating, and I wasn't sleeping. So I got into a really bad zone, like, you know. And a couple of days in, I started hearing voices, and the first voice I heard was my Uncle Paul. I thought he was in the room next to me. I could hear him on the phone to the guards, and he's like, oh, he's in there now. I have a camera in his room, I can see him. And I was like moving shit, like I had a statue of Saint Michael the Archangel. He's like, he's holding this statue of Saint Michael now. And what else is he doing? He it looks like he's praying. And I was like, fucking hell. But I felt a sense of relief. I was like, thank you God, finally I'm gonna see justice. My uncle's in on this, you know. He's gonna save the day. He's gonna get me justice, and he's gonna save me from all these predators. And so the long night where I was tortured and punished, the long night was instigated by the inspector, who was a detective in the Salt Hill Garda station. And he in my long night, he was an evil cunt. He actually exists as well, like, which is strange. I've seen him, like, he's a real person. Like, I wonder what he'd think if I were to tell him about my memories of him. Like, he'd probably think you're fucking crazy, you know. I suppose I am in my own way, but I'm able to talk about it objectively now anyway, thank God. And I could hear Gardaí outside my door, and women that I used to know in Galway that I was friends with. They were saying, oh my God, John Reichenbach's in the Fair Green. We're getting justice for John and all this. And the guards on the phone, yeah, Coomvera. I was waiting to go to Coomvera on the 25th of January 22. And I could hear the guards, yeah, Coomvera do long nights. He's getting a long night in there now. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm preparing for a load of shit now, like. And yeah, it got to the point where my uncle was like, yeah, I'm getting this Shane cunt now for what he's done to my nephew and all this. And all of a sudden I heard the Fair Green getting raided, and I could hear them all the lads in the Fair Green getting arrested, like, and fucking and brought away to prison, like, and I could hear them, no, and they're getting dragged down the hall. And I could hear this so vividly, and it astounded me, like, that my mind could come up with this and have me believe it. Like, it not astounded me, it astounds me now thinking about it. Like, how the fuck could my mind do that? Like, and I it's the subconscious, it's just so fucking powerful, man. It seemed so fucking real to me, and I was like, oh, thank you God. I literally had a statue of St. Michael the Archangel, and I was kissing it. I was like, thank you God, it's all over. I'm getting justice for the long night. Someone's gonna tell me everything's okay, John, because I was pretty sure I was going to prison for a while for everything I did in the long night, you know, in my revenge. And yeah, man, fucking yeah. So I rang my Uncle Paul to see if it was him, and pretty soon on the phone I realised he didn't have a clue what I was on about, like. And I was like, oh, can I have a lift to Coomvera? He was like, yeah, no problem. Which is shows his character, you know. He's just such a nice guy. And I asked him for a lift to Coomvera. He didn't think twice. He said, no problem, I'll bring you. And I'll forever be grateful for that. And I remember we stopped in Claregalway on the way, and he was like, do you want a burger? I was like, alright, yeah, why not? And he went in, he was like, do you want to wait in the car? I was like, yeah. And I could see a group of young lads beside, and all I could hear was, is that John Reichenbach? That's him. He's a fucking predator. We're getting him for what he did to the inspector, and to boom, 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 3-4 other people that I won't mention their names, but people I took revenge on anyway. He's like, oh, did you hear what he did to them? He's a fucking awful cunt. And I was like, fuck, everyone knows about me now, like, I can't go anywhere, like, and everyone hates me. And I knew it was injustice. I knew it was I didn't deserve that shit, like. And so we got to Coomvera, and yeah, I was convinced that the Gardaí had planted a bag of heroin in my luggage. I had 2 bags of luggage, a rucksack and a big plastic bag of clothes, and I was convinced that the Gardaí had put a block of gear in my plastic bag of clothes. So I was like, to Paul, I was like, here, all the clothes in there are dirty, so could you take them home to wash them? And he was like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, thank God. And fucking, I feel guilty about that, but I took my rucksack with it had feck all in it altogether anyway, but I got in and I was sitting in bed, and all of a sudden I start hearing voices coming from the roof, and for whatever reason it sounded like it was a cell in Castlereagh, and it was all the lads from the Fairgreen talking to my uncle, who had been arrested for having a bag of gear, and it was all I thought it was all a setup, like that the guards had done that to get me and my family, like, you know. And my uncle was pissed, and they were all plotting how they were going to get revenge on me, and they came to the point where they're like, right, we're going to stab him in the eye, we're going to take his eye out as a punishment. And I had a window behind me that you can't get out of it, like, it's just, it opens at the top, like, and you can't get out. So there was only one way out of the room, which was the door across from the bed. And I could hear all my peers from Galway, John's in there, we're gonna fucking burn him, he's a fucking horrible cunt. And I was just sitting there like, fuck's sake. And I had a tricolour with me in my bag, and I just had the tricolour wrapped around me, and I was just looking in the mirror, and I knew this shit was an injustice. And I could hear Shane, the fella that I owed the bikes to, and he was saying he better come out to the smoking area in 10 minutes. I'm going to be there. And I felt like if I want to end this is the only way to fucking get this shit over with. So I sparked up a fag and I walked out to the smoking area. I was just standing there smoking it. I was just looking around, and no one was there. I was like, fucking hell. What the fuck, man? Yeah. And I went back inside, and it kind of calmed down a little bit. And the following morning, at about between 8:30 and 9 in the morning, I could hear my key worker from the Fairgreen Hostel outside my door. He's like, John's getting raped now for what he did. The guards are coming in now. And all of a sudden I could hear boots on the tiles outside. And it sounded like there was literally about 10 or 12 Gardaí lined up outside my door. Could just hear the boots marching up, and I was like, fuck. And I was on the edge of my bed sitting like this, and I was just ready for a fight, like, so I knew as soon as that door opened I'd have to get up and fucking fight for my life, like. And I decided I'd just spark up a fag to fuck, and I was looking at the door like that, and once there was silence, the door just opened, and I was like, and there was a fella with glasses there, and he just goes, morning, breakfast is here. And I was like, fuck. And then he comes in, he's like, were you smoking in here? I was like, yeah. He's like, you're not allowed to do that. I was like, I know, I'm sorry, yeah. He's like, if you do that again, I don't want to have to, but we'll have to ask you to leave if you do it again. I was like, yeah, sorry, yeah, I won't do it again. Yeah. And that was one of the few times I broke the rules in Clonvera. And I can justify that one. I don't feel guilty about that. I thought I was in for a hell of a time. Is that how you describe it? A hellish time. Yeah. And I walked out to the smoking area, and it sounded like people were fucking on the roof sitting there, and they were like, alright, John. And I was like, well, how's things? And they were like, you're going away, John, are you? I was like, yeah, 7 years. I'm getting 7 years in Castlereagh. And they were like, best of luck, buddy. And all that shit. And I felt like everyone knew I was going to prison, and because my psychosis was saying to me that I'm going to Castlereagh for 7 years, so I was just prepared for that. Like, thought I was going away. I kind of accepted it, but I knew it was wrong. Like, you know, it's just mental what your mind can make you believe, like when you're in psychosis. What else happened? Oh yeah, I could hear people like breaking in, and for the first 3 days I was there, I was literally running around the entire detox unit at night because there's no security in Coomvera. There's a night nurse that's on the whole night, and there's a night man on the whole night. But they don't go to the detox unit, so I was literally running around, hiding behind lockers, hiding behind chairs. Thought they were coming in to try and kill me, like. And one time the nurse did come down. She's like, John, you have to stay in your room. I was like, there's someone trying to break in that door right there, literally. And she fucking went down and had a look, and she's like, there's no one there, John, just go to your bed. And I was like, alright, yeah. But I was just so fucked up, man. And yeah, I'm really grateful that I'm not going through that shit today. Like, that I'm reasonably sane. You know, the program helps me to stay sane. Like, it's great. Like, I still do hear voices to this day, but I don't get the intrusive thoughts about the inspector in the long night. I don't see things. Twice in the past week I've heard voices screaming at me, and I've felt shit about it and miserable, but generally I'm grand. Like, medication helps level that shit out, and doing a bit of CBT and counselling, like, that really fucking helps. Like, so yeah. What else can I say about schizophrenia? Yeah, it's just, it seems real, but it's fake. Yeah. That's just a little story time about my psychosis and stuff. And I hope this video recorded, because my laptop's fucked up, man. Peace, I love you.